otherwise, we're going to start it in a comfortable seat. So whatever that means to you, whether that's with a bolster under, a block under, a blanket, maybe you're at a wall, maybe you're in the center of the room, either is fine. But whenever you arrive there, wiggle around a few moments to settle in. Maybe notice the cross of your legs. We'll switch them at one point. Gently close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. And take a deep inhale in through the nose. Maybe shoulders come up to the ears. Exhale, sigh it out. Let something go. Been talking about Dharma this week. It translates to make firm. So anything that creates stability in a shaky, wobbly world, which we're in, Dharma is kind of our life's purpose. So as we settle in to class and maybe throughout class, try to get really clear on what your values are. And if this isn't the right space for that, maybe that's too much for this moment, take this idea of coming up with what you truly value and what you're willing to fight for. Take that off your mat, or maybe make it part of your mantra today. We'll be here for a couple breaths of silence as we settle into this idea and focus for the week. So just allow the breath to become steady, not controlled. Just breathe for a few rounds of breath here. The shoulders have started to creep up to the ears, maybe relax them down the back. Your feet have started to maybe get a little tingly. Just wiggle them out or shift if needed. Be here for 3 more rounds of breath. Maybe mirroring inhale length to exhale length. So count of 3 in and a count of 3 out. You can start to slowly open your eyes if they were closed, maybe lifting the chin up. Just moving those shoulders around. And bring arms out to a cactus. So if you're at a wall, that can provide feedback. Otherwise, we use our arms as resistance. So elbows are going to drop towards the floor. And then inhale, they're going to lift above the shoulders. So trying to keep them in the same plane as your back. Even without any weights, this can add a lot of resistance. So just warming up those arms, maybe make fists. Just take 2 more rounds of this. We'll switch the cross of the legs, so maybe leaning back. If you're on a prop, you can come off, or if you want to take this on the prop, feel free. We're going to take a few side bends. We'll do this a couple times, so don't feel like you have to go the full length. So right hand will plant down by your hip, left arm reaches long overhead, and then peel that top shoulder open, relaxing that shoulder away from the ear, that left shoulder. And then we'll slowly walk this through center. So hands walk towards center, maybe arching that spine. And then we'll walk over, feeling that right arm open. Left hand plants And then stretching through that right side body. Gaze under the elbow, relaxing that right shoulder away from the ear. And then walking back through center, we'll take that. Maybe you go a little deeper if you have the ability to get that forearm to the floor, taking that. You can also add a prop to bring the floor closer. Peeling open, making sure that left hip doesn't lift up too much. Side bend over to the right. Breathing here. Instead of going through center, we'll reach upwards. So lifting up out of that, switching sides. Maybe you find a prop under that forearm. Maybe that's too deep. Make sure that top shoulder goes away from the ear. And then inhaling through center. We're going to come to a tabletop position. So you might want a blanket under the knees if you're not on a cushiony surface. We're going to bring knees a little wider than hips. And we're going to tuck the toes. So gentle cat-cow with a little added movement here. So we'll drop the belly, lift the gaze, chest reaches forward. And then as toes are tucked, we're going to round that back and push hips back towards heels. And then keep that movement. So going through cow, and then pushing back to cat. Maybe pausing, really stretching out the bottoms of those feet here. And then you can pause in any place that feels especially like it needs some extra love. So if you want to pause in this cow position, you can gaze over each shoulder. Take about 5 rounds of breath of your own movement. What I'm suggesting is just that, it's suggestion, so really make this your own. Whatever you need. Make hip circles. Moving side to side. Take a couple more rounds. And we'll pause in a neutral spine so toes can stay tucked or untucked. Might want your blocks nearby for this next piece. I need them currently to get my foot forward. So we're going to bring that right foot to the top of the mat and then frame the right foot with the hands or your blocks. You're just going to bring some gentle movement, leaning forward into a low lunge, and then exhale, flexing toes towards the face. So you might have to adjust the stance and how far away that front foot is. Take about 3 rounds of movement. Starting to warm up those hips. And then we'll all meet with that front right leg straight in half splits. So toes pointed towards face. If staying lifted is too much, you can always take this to the ground, maybe a block under that right hip. Feel a quad stretch. Or staying upright, flexing toes towards the face, really thinking about that pinky side edge of the foot. Wiggling it from side to side, pointing and flexing. We'll take 5 breaths here with the right leg forward, chest reaching forward. And then staying here, or if you want an IT band addition to this, you can walk those hands over. If you have a block, maybe walk them to the block that's outside of your right leg. You'll feel it more up the side of that outer right leg. 2 breaths here. Or staying facing forward. Then walking back through center, we're gonna go to that low lunge position. So if you want to do some movements in between, feel free. We're gonna come to that low lunge, chest reaching forward, knee grounding, and then again, a side bend here. So right, you can stay up lifted, maybe hands come to the knee, or take a side bend to the right, so left arm goes up and over. Block for support. Should feel this in that left outer hip. And then inhale through center if you took the side bend. No fancy transition, just scooch that right leg back to table. Take a few rounds of movement before the other side just to shake things out. And then we'll bring the left foot forward. So left foot comes towards the top of the mat, maybe framing with the arms, maybe a block. And just take that gentle movement here first, figuring out the distance that works best. Chest reaches forward towards the toes, and then chest lifts up. We'll all pause in that straight-legged half splits here, toes towards the face. 5 rounds of breath here. Maybe you move that ankle, foot side to side. Shoulders down the back. Breathing here. And staying facing forward, or if that IT band stretch felt good to you, walking those hands over to the left, feeling that left side of the leg fire up. And again, that back toe can stay tucked for some stability. One more breath. And then inhaling through center, we'll bend into that left knee, coming to that Anjaneyasana low lunge. Hands can come to the thigh, or if you're taking that side bend, block comes outside of the left hip, right arm goes up and over. Really feeling that stretch through the right front hip. And then inhale through center, bringing that left leg back to table. Maybe tucking those toes and sitting back just briefly. If you want to sit there in heroes as I show the next posture, you're more than welcome to. We're moving into cat grabbing its tail, so you might want your strap. And I like a blanket for this under the head. So we'll come laying down on our right side, and I'll show some variations for this. Laying down on your right side, having the strap nearby. That top left leg is going to stay straight, and it's going to go forward like a kickstand. That bottom right leg, you're going to reach for it with your hand, or maybe that strap. And then you're going to peel that top shoulder open. I'm not going to show it fully, but that left shoulder will open towards the ceiling. The alternative to this would be to take a sideline quad stretch, maybe with the top leg coming in. Be here for longer than the other postures, so find something you can be comfortable and settle in, which in this pose might not be. I can't take this on my belly, but you can also take this quad stretch on your belly. Just breathing. Soften the jaw, the shoulders. Notice where you're holding tension and try to let that go. Maybe sending your breath there. I'll check in about a minute. Notice where your thoughts have gone. We'll be here for about 10 more rounds of breath. So notice if you need something different, if you've gone past your edge, maybe you back out. If you need to go further, maybe peeling that shoulder open a little bit more. Deep inhale in, full exhale out, coming out of this super slowly. So if you have that bind, letting the bottom leg go, that top leg comes into stack. And then making your way to the other side, however you deem easiest. So maybe it's rolling to your back, maybe it's to your belly. We're going to flip on over so I can show the other side. Maybe this side needs something different. So setting up. So if you're on your left side now, that top right leg is going to be straight out in front of you. Bottom left bends towards the right hand, feeling that top shoulder open. Or taking a quad stretch, foot to hand or strap. About a minute here. Check in with where the thoughts have gone, where you need to go for the next 30 seconds in this posture. Maybe it's just re-checking in with your values or the things that you're willing to fight for. And slowly coming out of this, releasing the bind on that bottom leg. Top leg comes into stack. And then we'll all roll to our bellies for a shoulder stretch. So I'll show this at the wall. But you're going to extend your right arm out to the side. Left arm's going to come into the shoulder, and then you're going to stack. So it looks like this at the wall. That right temple will be on the ground. You don't want it floating. And then that top leg can stack behind you if that's comfortable for like a kickstand situation. Scorpion arm stretch. Maybe that top arm comes to the low back, peeling that top shoulder open a little bit more. About 5 more rounds of breath here. And then slowly coming out of this, if you have the bind, releasing that first, planting the hand. With the legs behind you, stacking it. Rolling to your belly, maybe bending the knees and windshield wipering the feet from side to side. And then switching sides, so that left arm goes out directly from the shoulder. As you walk that left hand away, shoulders stack, right hand comes in for support. And then make those choices with the legs. Maybe they stay stacked, maybe that top leg creates a kickstand. Be here for a few breaths. I'll check in for that arm bind. If you want to take that arm bind, maybe it comes to the low back, opening the shoulder a little bit, making sure that temple is resting into the mat, the floor, not floating in space. Relax the jaw, about 5 more breaths. Slowly releasing that arm if you have the bind, the leg if it's behind you. Rolling to the belly if that's comfortable, and then bending the knees, feet up towards the sky, windshield wipering back and forth. And from there, we'll gently push up to table, maybe through a child's pose if that would feel good. So pushing back, just stretching those arms briefly. And making your way to table, moving to pigeon. So any props you might need for that. I like a blanket under the knee and then blocks for support. So we'll go through a series of movements on this one leg and then we'll do the other side. So just know that's where we're going. And I'll show options for pigeon. So from table, that right knee is going to come towards the right wrist, and then we'll sneak that foot. It does not have to be parallel to the front of the mat. That's virtually impossible for me and a lot of people. So, and then you're going to scooch that left knee back a little bit further to feel the stretch. Briefly lifting up tall, and then exhale, fold forward. Find a place where you can settle for at least a minute here. Maybe something under that right hip if it feels uncomfortable. And then if lying forward feels uncomfortable, you can take this on your back in figure 4. Right leg on top. Relax your jaw. Following the breath if your thoughts seem to wander. About halfway through this side if you want to make any adjustments. Maybe going lower, taking props out of the way, maybe adding props. Deep inhale in. Full exhale out, let something go. 2 more breaths. Slowly, if you're moving forward, start to lift up to the hands. Swinging that back leg around. If you're on your back, gently rolling up. We'll extend that left leg out long. Right foot into that thigh for Jani Shavasana. So 2 options here. Option 1, gonna twist towards that extended leg, folding forward. That's not comfortable for you. You can take those blocks and fold more towards kind of where your shoulders are naturally. So we'll be here for about a minute. So make that choice, lifting up tall, and then exhale, folding forward. Maybe trying to release tension from those toes. The jaw. Five more rounds of breath. And then walking those hands back under the shoulders. You're going to take a twist so that left hand goes to the right knee, right hand you. And then if you want a neck stretch, maybe dropping that right ear towards the right shoulder. You should feel it through that whole left side. Lifting up tall. If you're not taking the neck stretch, maybe twisting a little deeper. And then if you are doing the neck stretch, lifting that head back up, coming back towards center. We're going to do one last pose on this side. Not really a pose, but a stretch. The lovely leg baby, one of my favorites. So that leg that's bent is going to come out in front of you. You're just going to gently rock your little leg baby. This might be perfect for you if you want to go further. Can't get that there anymore. That foot can come to the inner elbow or just stay in the hand, and then you can lean over on that right hip. Get a little massage, finding all its crickety parts. Take a couple rounds in one direction, a couple in the other, pausing where you need. And then letting that go, shaking the legs out. And we'll come into table and take all of that on the other side. So using your knowledge from that first series to set things up. So we'll come into table, left knee to left wrist, sneaking that foot under, scooching the right knee back, untucking those toes, lifting up tall before folding forward, or taking that figure 4 on your back. I'll check in about a minute. Following your breath and your thoughts. Maybe letting the thoughts go. About halfway through, making any adjustments to props. Maybe bringing hands into prayer and resting the forehead on the thumbs if you have blocks under your elbows. Taking a deep inhale in through the nose. Exhale, sigh it out, let something go. Send that breath somewhere where you're still holding tension. 2 more rounds of breath. Slowly coming up to the hands, sitting onto that left hip, swinging the right leg around if you were on your belly. If you're on your back, slowly lifting up. And then taking that Janu Shavasana. So either framing that right extended leg with the shoulders and folding forward, or folding more towards the front. So lifting up tall, exhale, taking whatever fold works for you. It might not be that far, that's okay. About a minute here. See if you can stop somewhere. Maybe it's just the toes, or the tongue in the mouth, or the jaw. One more breath. And then walking up, hands under the shoulders, taking that twist, right hand to left knee, left hand behind. Doesn't have to be a deep twist. And then if you like that neck stretch, left ear to left shoulder. Lifting up tall, one more breath. And slowly lifting the head if you took that neck stretch, coming back towards center. Taking that leg stretch. So first just rocking it back and forth. And maybe giving it that gentle massage. All the pops and the cracks in this one. And extending legs long, we'll shake them out. Our next pose is our peak pose, so you might want strap nearby. And if you're on your blanket, I would recommend maybe folding it to create a little bit of lift under the hips. So maybe coming to that blanket, we'll start, I'll show the half version of this. So this is Gomukhasana, cow face pose. I always remember it because Gomukhasana and it's cow face pose. I don't know. Unrelated, just silly. So that left leg can stay straight. Right leg is going to come bent on top of that straightened leg. This is the half version. If you want to take the full version, that bottom leg will bend. And, you know, it kind of looks like a cow here, maybe. So taking either of those, if this isn't working for you, you can take this whole shape onto your back. The strap comes in, you're like, what do I need a strap for? That's for the arm part of this. So let's just stay here briefly and then maybe get the strap nearby. Just lifting up tall for a few moments, letting the hips adjust, making the choice if you want the bottom leg to be straight or bent. And then making the choice if you want to add the arms. That right arm, I like to take the strap into the arm that's extended. So the right arm's going to come up above you, bending at the elbow. And then that left hand, the back of the palm is going to come to the low back, and then you might find the strap. Arms might be far away from each other, but the strap's there to kind of help you work that bottom hand. I'll turn. And then you're going to push your head into that top arm almost. If you're like, this is too much, let go of something. And then the next place you can go is folding forward with this whole shape. Super fun. So take about 5 breaths wherever you are. With or without the arm stretch, with or without both legs bent. And just be, let the breath settle. And if you're leaned forward, slowly start to stack, releasing the arms first. And then coming out of this, really just straightening that bottom leg, bringing that top leg, shaking them out. And we'll go to the other side. So that right leg can stay straight. Maybe you test this side out. Top leg comes to bend. Option to bend the bottom leg also. We'll just stay here for a few breaths. Getting that strap nearby. Taking a water break. Lifting up tall. Noticing if one hip wants to lift up, try to ground that down. And adding in the arms if that's where you're wanting to go. So this time left arm up high, bending right hand back of the palm so the kind of the thumb sneaks towards. And then gently walking those hands towards one another. You should feel this stretch in the tricep, almost the armpit, pushing the head into the forearm, and then folding forward if that's where you want to go. Staying lifted. About 5 to 7 breaths wherever you are. If you're folded forward, starting to stack the shoulders, releasing the arms, shaking those out, coming out of the leg shape, just giving those legs a shape. We're going to make our way to our back. You might want to block, or if you have a bolster nearby for other things, maybe a blanket. We're going to come into supported bridge with a few other additions here. So feet will be hip width distance. That block's going to be on its lowest setting under the sacrum. So the same, you want it short ways, not long ways up the spine. You want it to be like a capital letter T at that low back. So grounding into the heels, lifting the hips, placing the block on or under the sacrum. Just letting that chest open, those hips open. Knees shouldn't splay out or come in. They really should remain facing with that distance between them. And then arms can come overhead or staying down at your sides. We'll be here for about a minute to settle. Then I'll offer some other places you can go. If you don't have a prop, maybe just staying in that low bridge, moving the spine up and down. And if you want to move into legs in the air, if that's comfortable on your prop, you can do that, or you can move the prop out of the way. Heels will float towards the sky. If you want more of a front hip stretch, legs can go extended almost like a lifted Shavasana. So legs go out to either corner of the mat. Hips stay lifted. If that's too much on the low back, maybe try one leg at a time. Or don't do it. And feel free to switch in between the two. I'll call out when we've been here for a minute if you want to switch. Can take arms overhead and legs up in the air. Arms overhead if your legs are outstretched. About halfway through, if you want to make any adjustments, changes, or just a reminder to check in with your breath. Do that now. Take 3 more breaths wherever you are. If your arms happen to be overhead, bring them back down by your sides for some stability. And then if you're, wherever your legs are extended, bending 1 foot to the floor at a time, coming back into that supported bridge. And then lifting the hips off of any props, moving it out of the way, rolling down 1 vertebrae at a time. Tailbone is the last to meet, and just staying in this bridge prep for a few breaths to neutralize that spine. Then we're going to move into a twist of your choice. So if you want to cross knees, that's an option. Knees can stack, or any other twist that would feel good, but maybe bringing shins parallel to the floor first, and then dropping over to whichever side is calling to you. We'll go to the other side, so it doesn't really matter which way we go first. Maybe that arm opposite the legs is extended, and then the other arm can gently help the knees closer to the ground. About 10 rounds of breath here. So making adjustments as you go to get deeper. Take 1 or 2 more rounds of breath here on this side. Slowly making your way back through center. Maybe giving yourself a little squeeze, rolling that low back, making circles. And going to the other side, dropping the knees. Gaze can be opposite or maybe up at the ceiling. And then hands assist in whatever way feels good. About 8 more rounds of breath here. Making adjustments as you go. Deep inhale in. Full exhale out, couple more breaths. Making your way back through center, hugging those knees in again, giving yourself a big hug, a squeeze. Maybe that turns into a happy baby, hands to feet, feet towards the sky. Rocking and rolling. Or any other postures your body might need before rest. But we'll all make our way into a comfortable position for final rest. So this can be Shavasana, this can be seated, it can be on your side. Make yourself comfortable for about 4 minutes of silence. When you arrive there, take a deep inhale in. Exhale, side out. What are you willing to fight for? Take a deep inhale in through the nose. Exhale, sigh it out. Start to slowly awaken the rest of the body. Gently, maybe tapping a thumb to each fingertip. Wiggling fingers and toes, ankles and wrists. Rocking the head from side to side. And over the course of the next 5 breaths, making your way in your own time up to seated. So wherever that means, pausing for you, take that time. Meeting in that cross-legged seated posture, maybe eyes floated closed or gently floated open. And then bringing hands to heart center. Thanking yourself and those on this class for practicing in community. Namaste in its simplest form means the light in me honors and acknowledges the light within each of you. Bowing forward to seal your practice. Namaste.